Create an array of integers. As you can see, created it, declaring it ages. Programmatically subtract the value. Took ages array, took the last value in ages, which is accessed with the dot length -1, subtracted the initial value, which is at index 0, and print subtraction, answers 90. Create a new array of int called ages2. There you are, 9 elements with the value specified. Make sure that there are 9 elements. Went ahead and did a for loop and printed it out to say there are 9 elements in this array. Repeat the subtraction from 1a. Declare integer subtract 2. Did the same thing that we did from before. Print it out to the console, and we get 91. Show that using the index values for the elements is dynamic. Declared a third array here with additional values. Access all at index 2, and as you can see, we've got 3 different values here. Use a loop to iterate through the array and calculate the average age. Declared an integer for sum of ages to send through the loop. Took age s as a declared integer, sent it through ages 2. Sum of ages equals age s plus sum of ages, and the for loop declared integer average age as sum of ages divided by ages2.length, which is the number of values within that array, and printed it to the console. I also tested a method from below called average age to do the exact same thing, and in both instances we got 48. Create an array of string using these names. There's that string. Send name through the names array. Print that to the console. There's all the names. Use loop to iterate through. Declare double sum letters for. Once again, string name, send that through names. This time we're taking sum of letters equals the name length as an empty set there, or excuse me, an empty string. Excuse me. Add that together, or excuse me, loop that through. Average letters set equal to the sum of letters divided by, again, the number of values using the dot length, print it out. Average letters per name in the array is 3.833. Use a loop to iterate to the array again, concatenate all the names together separated by spaces and print to the console. We need an empty string called concat names. Send it through a traditional for loop because we can't use an enhanced loop for this. Concat names equals name at each index plus the concat names empty string. Send that through an if condition. If it is less than the value -1, concat names equals, again, to add the empty space, print concat names, and we get Sam, Tommy, Tim, Sally, Buck, Bob with spaces. How do you access the last element of array? As I said before, array.length -1. You access the first element. Arrays are 0 based, therefore it's 0. Create a new array of int called name lengths. Write a loop to iterate over using a traditional for loop. After declaring it, we're going to go ahead and length of each name to the names length through. Okay, this is where we actually print something to the console. Write a loop to iterate over the name lengths array and calculate the sum of all the elements in the array. We've done this before. Integer, set sum length equal. Traditional for loop, run it through name lengths at each index value, print to the console. There are blank, where are we? 23 elements within the array. Again, this is taking the length of the name, so the number of characters total there. Now we're getting into methods testing. We'll come back to that here. This was the loop that I talked about before that I used to testify or to test the other method previously for average age there. For number 7, write a method takes a string word and int n as arguments, runs it through and concatenates with itself. This is straight off the more methods videos. The string result starts with an empty string. Run that through a traditional for loop because we can't use an enhanced for loop. The result equals the word plus result once it's looped through and return results. And we get, as you can see in this console, yeet, because I sent it through 7 times. That's the one I did to test. Write a method that takes 2 strings, first name and last name. String full name, first name, last name. This is also directly off one of our videos, I believe. Return first name with an empty space plus last name. We sent John Wick through, and that's what we got. Write a method that takes an array of ints and returns true if the sum of all the ints in the array is greater than 100. For this, I set integer sum age to 0. Ran this with an enhanced loop. Sum age equals age plus sum age through the loop. Return sum age greater than 100 should return true. I ran a value through there. We'll go and see those in a second. Write a method that takes an array of double and returns the average of all the elements in an array, similar to the ones we'd done before. It's this time taking a double value, or excuse me, declaring a double A and double B, and returning A divided by the average length of that array. In other words, the number of values in there. Write a method that takes two arrays of double and returns true if the average of all the elements in the first array is greater than the second. Pretty darn similar to the last one, except you had to do it twice. And this time compare with the greater than. Write a method called will buy drink. It takes Boolean is hot outside and double money in pocket. This one was pretty simple. I overthought it for a while. If is hot outside and money in pocket is greater than 1050, the default value is true, so we can go with that. If so, return true, else return false. Create a method of your own that solves a problem. This I set pretty similar to this one here, except I'm returning a string instead of a Boolean, but I am taking a Boolean value for spring, true, false, double for a temperature, meaning for warm enough, and a double for enough rain. The condition here is it needs to be string, it needs to be warm enough, which means the condition that it's greater than or equal to 32 degrees Fahrenheit in this case, and that there's enough rain, meaning there's at least 1 inch of rain. If so, I'm going to return the string just to be cute, dig that hole, else return the string, hold your shovels. Said it's similar to number 2, and I created this method to help someone evaluate when to plant a tree, and it's totally foolproof, and no one should ever try to convince me otherwise. Here's the test. Yeet through 7 times. John Wick, full name pull. 9 tests come through with the trues. All these came out to be good. And finally, the test for my own method that I created. Hopefully that is under 5 minutes.